Hello everybody, this is Llodg, and today I'm going to be talking about all the games I played and finished in 2023. I won't be talking about games I've already made full videos on, since I already have a full video where I'd go into my thoughts about it, and I'm changing my mic setup a little bit and have a bit of a cold, so if I sound a little weird, that's why. But with that, let's get into it. For the first game that I beat in 2023, which I also happened to just finish on January 1st, was the very first Dragon Quest game, which I played on the Switch. And this game, while I really enjoyed it, wasn't amazing. There is only one playable character, and throughout the entire game you just fight one enemy at a time. This game is what I would like to call a guide game, where if you're playing blind, you're not going to have a great time if you don't have a guide. It's also a very grind heavy game, like you have to grind for XP but you also have to grind for money, so you can buy the gear you need to fight without losing, or even buy something like magic armor so you can walk in different parts of the world. But understanding that this was the first RPG, I still really enjoyed it, and if you want to play it, I highly recommend it. Just bring a guide. Next is what may have been my favorite game that came out in 2022, with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I really love this game along with the rest of the series, and I really want to make my own separate video on it in the future, so I won't say much here, but it's really good. Also, I still need to play Future Redeemed. I guess next year I'll get to it. Persona 4 Golden. What is there to say about this game other than that I've been playing it on and off for about 2 years, and I finally finished it thanks to the Steam Deck. And man, it was really good. The story and the characters were so good, and there were no points in the game where I was annoyed with a certain section because I thought the story was bad. Eniba was such a cool town, and the TV world was also so interesting. Uncovering the mystery was also amazing. The only downsides of the game are the gameplay and dungeons, since they aren't as defined as Persona 5 dungeons and gameplay are. Like, other than a few floors in each dungeon, each floor is randomized and just leads to a lot of walking. So because of that, I'm not sure if that makes this game more enjoyable than Persona 5 overall, but it's close. And I'm ready to play the Persona 3 remake next year. Another game that I've been playing on and off for a while is Trails in the Sky FC. And it only took me a summer where I had nothing to do and only had access to my Steam Deck to finish it. But once I got in the groove of the chapters, I really enjoyed this game. The characters were really interesting, especially Estelle, and the world just seems so big. This is a series with so many games, and it's nice to finally go back to the first one after playing Cold Steel a couple years ago. I am playing second chapter, and will hopefully finish that game next year before Falcom releases even more games in the series. Tales of Vesperia is my second Tales of game that I've played, and while I really enjoyed the gameplay and the look of the game compared to Symphonia, the characters and the story just didn't hold up compared to it. Okay, more of the story. I just never really cared about it, and it felt like a ton of little side quests stringed together. Like, by the end I knew what we were doing, but I just didn't care. Also, while I did enjoy the characters, I just didn't love them a ton. Yuri and Judith were probably my favorites though. Also, I was surprised to learn after I beat the game that Patty and Flynn really weren't a part of the game. Patty was totally made up for this definitive version, and Flynn was like barely in the first game compared to this. And like with Flynn I could tell, but Patty I was just so surprised by because she seemed to be so a part of that story once she got in there. Now I'm stuck on which Tales of game I should play next. For me it's between Abyss, Vesperia, and Arise. If you have any reasonings for which Tales of game I should play next, let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear them. Next is another Dragon Quest game with Dragon Quest II, and I've seen a lot of tier ranking lists with this game as the worst out of all the mainline games, and I have to say I don't really see where all the hate comes from. I thought this game was a huge step up from the first game, with multiple party members, and some of those party members actually getting some story beats. The inclusion of multiple enemies and fights was also great. I loved all the throwbacks to the first game too. This game also really didn't require me to grind nearly as much as the first game, so I will firmly put this game above the first one. Spider-Man Miles Morales was next, and despite it being short, I really enjoyed it. The Insomniac Spider-Man games are some of my favorites. The web swinging is just amazing, and going around New York, especially during the winter, was so good. I'm also glad this game didn't have any sections like the MJ or Miles sections from the first game. It made it an overall better experience. I didn't care too much about the story, but this was a nice introduction for this universe's Miles Morales' Spider-Man, and I still need to play Spider-Man 2 very soon. The last game I played was the first DLC for Doom Eternal with the Ancient Gods Part 1, and I really loved it. I really like seeing more of the humans in this game, weirdly enough, but the demons, especially going through and obliterating them, was so fun. I didn't feel that this DLC was a must-play, but if you enjoyed the main Doom Eternal game, you really should give this DLC a chance. I still need to play Part 2, maybe next year I'll get to it, and then maybe we can get another Doom game or something. Okay, I know I said that Doom Eternal was my last game, but I wanted to include the first SNES Donkey Kong Country game in here, because while I didn't finish it this year, I played like half of it with a friend and we had so much fun over the Nintendo Switch Online app. I was a little worried that it wouldn't be all that good and frustrating as Nintendo Online can sometimes be, but this was so good. If you've never played a Donkey Kong game, co-op, I highly recommend it. I was smiling so much while playing, and struggling through stages, basically passing controller back and forth, was so amazing of an experience to have. We were finding secrets and beating minecart levels. It might have been my favorite gaming experiences this year, and next year I'm definitely getting us to beat this game and hopefully play through 2 and 3. And yeah, those are all my games I played this year. Honestly, more than I thought I had, but not as many as I would have liked. I did finish a lot of games I've been putting off for a while, so it's nice to see them finally finished. I can't wait to play more, and more importantly finish games next year like Baldur's Gate 3, which I already have like 15 hours in. I hope you had a great year playing games, and we'll have another great year next year. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video, have a good day, and goodbye!